It looks like we might be in labor.
Is there someone?
What do you have to say? Oh, how are you feeling?
I'm in between.
A little bit.
Don't turn in between.
Hi.
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 Ooh, guys, giving birth to this one
Hi.
was an adventure. And look at my face. Look at this picture. Ooh, Shem. I was tired. I was passing out in between. But yeah, it was an interesting one. It was interesting. And here's the story. Hey beautiful people, and welcome to the Baby Shimmy show. This is an episode which I actually never thought I'd do it in this series. I always thought that I would do an episode on my birth story on my YouTube, but it just never happened. And this one is 2, and I still haven't shared my birth story. So here it is. Here's my birth story of baby number 1. Baby Shimmy, the one that y'all know, the cutie patootie who says hi all the time. Where do I start? So it was a Friday.
Hi.
Went to sleep on Thursday night, okay? And we were planning for a natural birth. So, mama. We were planning for a natural birth. So when we went to sleep on Friday night, didn't know that I would give birth a day before my due date. Okay? So cool. Went to sleep, husband and I had fun in life. And then midnight-ish, I started to feel cramps. Now, I had already had my Braxton Hicks. And they did not feel like Braxton Hicks. Okay? They felt like squeezing of like my hips were getting squeezed, almost like period pains, almost. But the thing is, they came in waves. So I'm the type of person, I have really bad period pains and I have really heavy flow. So when you say period pains, I know period pains, like hard period pains. So they felt like that. So I was sleeping, it was midnight, and I was just like, I woke up and I was just like, okay. I went through the checklist in my head. There has to be a pattern and they have to be regular. So I was just like, that was just one feeling. Let's wait for the next one. Next one comes along. I kind of fall asleep in between. Another one comes along. All right, sharp. My phone was actually a whole motorbike. My phone was actually charging on my husband's side of the bed, so I didn't have it. So I was just like, let me give it a bit more time and see what happens. So it's the second one. I tried to fall asleep again, but now I'm starting to think, I'm like, oh, is it happening? Because I always knew, mopelong, like in my heart, that I'd give birth on my due date, or like one day before or one day after my due date. And it was the day before my due date. So there I am in bed. Second one, go back to sleep. Try go back to sleep. How? Here's another one. I'm just like, it's uncomfortable. You know, just an uncomfortable feeling. It wasn't like painful yet. It was just uncomfortable. So I was like, I'm sure this is now, this could possibly be contractions. So I go onto my baby app, right? I go onto Baby Center and I start timing my contractions. So on my app, I haven't told my husband anything. So I climb over him, I get the phone, and then I go onto the app, and then I can see here, it still has the date and time, and this was like 2 years ago. Well, a couple of weeks shy of 2 years ago. And I look at it, and I'm just like, okay, 2:30 a.m. I had contractions that lasted 46 seconds. 2:39, I had contractions again. 2:42, I had contractions again. 2:44 contractions, 2:46 contractions, 2:48 contractions, 2:49 contractions, 2:51 contractions, 2:53 contractions. So my contractions were about a minute and, minute 30 seconds, 2 minutes apart. And this was at 2 a.m. in the morning. So by the time I woke up, and then by the last one that was at 2:53, that one lasted for almost a full minute, and they were 2 minutes apart. So that's when I was just like, this is definitely a pattern. My contractions are 2 minutes apart and they last a minute. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of contractions all at once so quickly. So I wake up my husband, I'm like, babes, hey. I'm like, husband, I think I'm having contractions. So my husband gets up and then calls his mother. So at the time, we're actually sleeping in Pretoria at my in-laws' place, at Vuyo's parents' place. And then I go, and then he gets his mom. And then I'm just like, and then she gets there, and I'm standing by the room divided by Vita. What's that thing that has the mirror? What is that thing, Noni? Like the cabinet that has the mirror and things like that in a room. And then I stand there and I've got my gown on, and then I stand and I'm leaning against the thing, and then I look like I get a contraction. I can remember that time I got a contraction. I lifted my leg and I was like, and she's like, yep, it's a contraction, let's go. So she goes and showers. I kid you not, she showered in 10 minutes and got dressed and lotioned in 10 minutes flat. Amazing woman. In the same time, all I did was, I brushed my teeth. That's all I did. I didn't even get out of my pajamas. We left with me in my pajamas. Fortunately, the hospital is about 10 minutes, 15 minute drive, 10 minutes actually, drive from the house. So we get into the car, bag is packed, we go. And we get to the hospital. I don't even know what we packed, because after that, my husband still had to go home.
All right, we just got to the hospital. They've taken her to the maternity ward. Yeah, it looks like this is it. The baby's on the way, I suppose. I tell you, be prepared for all of this stuff. I'm the most disorganized guy ever.
And pack a whole lot of things in the bag. But we took the hospital bag that we thought we needed. But clearly I didn't pack everything I needed. So we get to the hospital. It was like straight admission. They put me on a wheelchair. And I'll provide you guys with pictures as I go. So put me on a wheelchair and they wheel me off into the room, and I'm still having my contractions. And we get to the hospital around about 3 a.m. in the morning. So my contractions started around about 1 midnight, 1ish. I started timing them around about 1:30, and then we got to the hospital around about 3. So we get into the hospital, they get me into the clothes, into the hospital gown, they give me a ball, which next time I'm going to go with my own yoga ball. So they give me a ball and they're like, okay, chill on the ball, sit on the ball, and then they give me the gas. And I was just like, okay, I don't mind the gas. This was my first pregnancy, this was my first delivery. And I wanted to really listen to the nurses and listen to the people around me, because I really didn't research all this. I did go to prenatal classes, but you know, I just wanted to try the gas. They say try the gas, I try the gas. So in the hospital, I'm in the hospital gown, and I feel like I need to poop. So this is before they put any monitors on. This is before they check how dilated I am. And then I go to the toilet, I pee, I try to pee, and I try to poo. Nothing happens. I can't pee, I can't poo. So I come back, and then they're like, okay, cool, we just want to monitor how the baby's doing, and then we're going to check how dilated you are. And I'm doing this because that's what they do when they check how dilated you are. So basically it's the vagina. They go in and they check how far open are you. And at the time, I think I was about 3-4 centimeters, and I was 2 minutes apart. And now it was like 4 a.m. in the morning. Sharp, we continue. My contractions continue to be 2 minutes apart. Less than 2 minutes apart. I'm rounding off. It was like a minute, some few minutes. I had about 4 contractions every 10 minutes. And so then I'm on the bed now, and I'm still taking the gas every single time a contraction happens. And we're trying to go for natural labor. And my doctor comes round about, I'm thinking, guys, when you are in labor, you're having these waves of pain. And when I say waves of pain, it's centralized in this area and on the back. I had a bit of back labor in that I felt a lot of pushing from back here. And what I mean by pushing, I feel like my muscles were doing this. Like they were pushing in that direction, but on my back. And as that happened, I pooped on the bed. I did. People are scared of pooping during labor. It is extremely normal. Do not be scared of it. There's nurses. My husband was there. He handled it like an absolute G. My husband was with me the entire Wabon. Go, do. My husband was there the entire time and he handled it like an absolute G. We went for prenatal classes together, so every single time I had a contraction, I would take the gas and he would give me back relief. So he would put pressure on my back. No. He would put pressure on my back for me to feel that relief. And oh, my husband was amazing. He got us some food. I couldn't eat. I was still going through the motions, still going through contractions. Doctor came around again around about 7, 8 in the morning. And she's like, how are we doing? Checked how dilated I am. And I would think I was still about like 5 centimeters. It was going a bit slow in terms of the dilation. So we continued. And contractions aren't anything to be scared of. But it does get worse as time goes on. 10 o'clock comes around. 12 o'clock comes around. And then I remember around about when we started to get towards the afternoon, the doctor's just like, we need to push and try to get to the 7, 8 centimeter mark. Then once the afternoon rolled around, I'm now still going through the contractions. Time is actually moving fast for me. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I felt like time was moving fast. Like I would have contractions, and there was a clock above the bed, and I'd look at the clock and an hour has passed. Contractions, I'd look, another hour has passed. So for me, it moved quickly. But I think it's also because I kept on passing out and falling asleep with the contractions. So eventually, now I hit a wall. And in between, apparently, my mother-in-law came, my father-in-law came, they all saw me. I don't remember seeing these people. I really don't, because everybody was just like, yo, you were in so much pain. Because what happened when I hit the wall is that Pumpkin, I was about 7 centimeters dilated, 7, 8 centimeters dilated. But Pumpkin wasn't in the right position. Her head wasn't positioned in the right way. So what the doctor said is, let's give it 2 more hours. And now at this point, I am in excruciating pain. But it's not because of necessarily the contractions, but it's because every time I had a contraction, my body pushed downwards, like everything pushed downwards, like was pushing the baby out. And I was telling the doctor, my body is pushing the baby out. And the doctor's just like, okay, let's give it another hour and let's see if the baby will get into position. I didn't remember her talking about the baby position, but I do remember saying, let's give it an hour. And I was like, okay, fine. And at this point, I'm just like, I want to cut this baby out. Now I'm tired. This is extremely painful. I can't do this anymore. And she's on my side. She knows that I really wanted to have a natural labor. So she really was trying to be a cheerleader for us to stick to the plan. But baby wasn't getting into position. So the time goes by. She comes back about 7, 8 centimeters dilated. But the baby's still not in position. And about this time, it's about 2 p.m. And my body's literally just, every time I have a contraction, it just pushes. It's just pushing downwards. And then she's like, let's go. We have to go for a cesarean. We can't give it any more time. And the reason why, and we had a really good discussion about it afterwards, was that I was ready for a cesarean. I'll tell you now, I was ready because I was just like, my body's pushing this person out and had to, like, the baby's just not in the right position. I didn't understand that at the time. At the time, I was just in pain. And she explained it to me afterwards. It's just that the reason why we end up going is because then the baby starts to get distressed and we get into a point where we're now putting the baby and myself in danger. So the best thing for us to do for the sake of the baby and for the sake of myself is to go for a cesarean. And I agree with her. I agree with every decision that she made. And even though I wanted a natural birth and I ended up with a cesarean, I had a 100% healthy baby. And she was stressed at this point because my body was pushing down and she wasn't in the right position. And they could tell on the monitors that the baby started to get stressed. And it was the right time for us to go and try to go and have a cesarean. And I'm very happy that my doctor was the type of person who was a cheerleader for the original plan. But the most important thing for her was a healthy baby and a healthy delivery. That is the number one most important thing. That a lot of people get very disappointed that they had a cesarean instead of having a natural birth. But your number one priority when it comes to giving birth is not how you give birth, but the fact that you leave with a healthy baby. That is your number one priority, and you shouldn't let anything stand in the way of that. Don't let anything stand in the way of you leaving with a healthy baby. The moment we got into the theater, and the moment they put in that pain medication, the epidural, the anesthesiologist stuck the needle up my spine. The relief. The best feeling on earth. After you've had these contractions for 12 hours, and mind you, my contractions were about 1 minute 30 seconds, 2 minutes apart, from midnight until 2-3 p.m. Honey, that felt so good. People are scared of needles, and the thought of a needle going into your spine seems like dramatic. It wasn't. It was actually a very easy needle. I've had worse needles in my life. And I'm the type of person who's not, I'm not like the hugest person with pain. But would I do it all over again? Yes. And are we going to try and have a natural birth with this one? Yes. Was it painful? It was. Is it the type of painful you get over? Yes. Is it the type of pain that's worth it? Yes. I'm happy with the story we had. We were exhausted afterwards. I remember they gave me the baby, but I was just tired. Hubby was tired. I hadn't eaten in forever. But we were all very happy because baby was healthy and I was healthy and everybody was happy. And that is the most important part, is that we are all healthy and happy when everything was done. I hope that you enjoyed that with the footage that we also have as well. And I hope that you will comment down below and let me know what your birthing story was. I'd really love to hear a lot of positive birthing stories as well. And I'd really love to hear how your experience was. What were you planning and what did you actually get? Birth is an amazing journey. It is all very worth it. No matter how painful it is all very worth it. I hope that you enjoyed that one, beautiful people. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big like and to tag your friends who'd love to hear the story. But until next time, that's all from us, from the baby Shimmy. Say bye, boo boo.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.